Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the potential for a major snowstorm, or at least a minor snowstorm, for the southeastern United States. This will also include the south central United States and some of the mid-Atlantic states as well. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family and social media. So let's get right into things. Now, first things first, I have to mention this is around a 50% probability type event as of right now. The GFS is not on board, but the European model has a minor winter storm, and then the Canadian model has a major winter storm. So that gives us the possibility of having nothing, or having a minor winter storm, or having a major winter storm all within 100 hours, which is very unusual. So we have a very low probability for how close we are to this actual event. So I'm going to go through all the models and just give you guys an overview of what we're expecting. But first, we're going to look at that Canadian model because this one would have the most major outlook of them all as of right now. Notice there's some snow going on for the upper Midwest on this frame. This is going to be by 12Z on Monday, which ends up being around 8 a.m. on Monday, which is actually past the point that I'm making this video, but I just wanted to show this frame because it's the beginning of our upper Midwest snowstorm that I told you guys yesterday I would show. And then as we move on, we see that by 8 a.m. on Tuesday, which is going to be tomorrow from the time I'm making this video, for Michigan and in through the northeastern United States, bringing some snowfall. And then by the time we reach 8 a.m. on Wednesday, it's all said and done. But we do see some rain for the southeast there, and that's our first southern slider type storm event, but that one doesn't have cold air. So what ends up happening is we get all rain with that one, and the southeast is actually going to see quite a bit of precipitation from this. Here's your total snowstorm or total snowfall from that first snowstorm. By the way, we see a general 1 to 3 inches. In those kind of lighter blues, almost light gray colors, and then in the purples, that's where we're looking at 3 to 6 inches of snow, all up and down the Midwest and then the northeastern United States as well. Now we're about to move on and start talking about our actual southern slider, and this storm is very, very interesting. We have not seen the chance for a snowstorm like this all year so far. And we've been tracking this one vigorously on our Facebook group, Weather Freaks. I highly recommend you join that, by the way, if you enjoy weather-related content. That's going to be in our comments down below. All right, so first things first, for this storm, we see some snow going on for Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, and some moisture below it down there in Texas. And usually what we see with these types of storms is that all is going to come together in the coming days. This is going to be by about 8 p.m. on Wednesday night, which is going to be February 19th. So we're still a solid 2 days away from this storm even forming, which gives us a lot of wiggle room for this one to develop and, trends to set in and it to look a lot different than it looks right now. Let's go ahead and move on a frame. And again, it comes together, just as I said, and this is by 8 a.m. on Thursday, and we see snowfall going on for northern Texas, Oklahoma. I don't know how I got that one mixed up. I guess Colorado's getting snowfall as well. Arkansas and Missouri getting snowfall by this point. Those areas have been getting a bit of snow recently, actually, for Oklahoma and Kansas and areas like that. Now, as we move on towards that afternoon, you can see things warm up because it's the daytime, so we're going to see a little bit of warmer conditions as we move into the daytime, but we do see a little bit of snow showers on the very northern end for New Mexico, Texas, a little bit for Arkansas, Tennessee, some areas like that. But notice that cold air is really digging in the eastern United States. We see those blue dashed lines. That's where we're seeing some colder temperatures down there for the central and eastern United States. So this is really coming together. It's set up to be a very interesting setup here because we have the cold air, we have the storm system. We know those two things are going to happen. And it's really just about where that storm tracks. Is it going to come a little bit further north or a little bit further south? And that's the difference between a major snowstorm and nothing. Now, we're about to move on to where we're going to start to see snow for Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky. It's going to be very interesting, and the Canadian model actually has a very major winter storm for those areas. So we're going to take a look at that right now. Now, this is going to be by about 8 p.m. on Thursday, February 20th. Like I said, only a few days away. It's Monday the 17th during the time I'm making this video. So we are just days away from this storm starting up. And really, the models are in huge disagreement for how close we are. But that's how this winter has gone. And also how this winter has gone, not to mention, is that things would trend north at the last minute. They will trend north at the last minute, showing this a little bit further north than what they showed in the beginning. And if we see that, we're going to start to see a much more major outlook on all of the models very shortly. Again, that's why it's so fun to track these types of storms on the Weather Freaks Facebook group, because we get to watch these things come out, and it's so exciting when you see that model just show a bomb of a snowstorm. It's like opening an Easter egg as a kid or something. But we see some moderate snowfall going on for Virginia and North Carolina by this point. Again, 8 p.m. on Thursday. Let's move on towards about 2 a.m. on Friday. And we can see areas in coastal Virginia and coastal North Carolina. Let's say Hertford up through Norfolk and then up the eastern shore there. Sorry, I'm from Virginia or Southeast Virginia, so I'm very familiar with those areas. So a lot of you probably aren't, but we see those areas getting moderate to heavy snowfall by the time we're at about 2 a.m. Now, as we move on towards about 8 a.m., we see, again, moderate to heavy snowfall going on for eastern North Carolina, even South Carolina by this point, up and down eastern Virginia, and then even the Delmarva there as well. And then southern Maryland, they're south of D.C. as well. So, I mean, tons and tons of areas getting moderate to heavy snowfall during this storm. Now, we're about to move on and continue to watch this storm impact these areas for more and more hours here during this very major winter storm that the Canadian model wants to show. All right, so as you can see, this is going to be by the afternoon hours of Friday, about 2 p.m. here. And we see eastern North Carolina, even far southeastern North Carolina. Very, very interesting stuff here. All the way up through, again, eastern Virginia and the Delmarva. So a lot of areas here experiencing moderate snowfall. Super interesting. And then by the time we reach about 8 p.m. on Friday, it's basically said and done. We have some snow showers lingering for eastern North Carolina and eastern Virginia, but really it's wrapping up. And after this frame, it is completely offshore and gone. Now, before we get started with the snowfall outlooks from the models here, I want to mention one thing. The temperatures are going to be cold enough Thursday night and into Friday. It is going to be cold enough. We are going to see temperatures in the 20s for North Carolina and Virginia, so it definitely will be cold enough. It's all about if that moisture comes far north enough, and this is what I've been talking about in the Weather Freaks Facebook group. Again, I can't say it enough. Please join us if you love weather. It's a blast. We're at 1,700 members, but I was talking about that in the group. The temperatures are cold enough, the moisture is there, it just needs to be a little bit further north, and that's what the European model and the Canadian model have done here, especially the Canadian model, but I'll show you the European model's snowfall forecast in a second. Now, we're about to move on and take a look at those modeled snowfall forecasts, which is very exciting because a lot of them have quite a bit for a lot of these regions. First things first, here's that very exciting Canadian model forecast, and this is the one I shared to the group actually, and it was very exciting when I showed this because it came out of nowhere. Actually, yesterday it showed, because this is from last night's run, it only runs every 12 hours, but during yesterday's daytime run, which comes out at about 11, it showed eastern North Carolina getting that bullseye in that pink color, but now it shows kind of more of the northeastern North Carolina and then southeastern Virginia, so it came a bit further north. But it was like opening an Easter egg when that thing came out. It was so exciting. Anyway, we see in the blues a dusting to 3 inches of snow. In the purples, we're looking at a 3 to 6 inches of snow. And in the pinks, we're looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow. And then we even have some green shades there for northeastern North Carolina, which is 12 inches or more. You might be wondering, hey, is this overdone? And the answer is yes, this is probably overdone. Generally, what you can take away from this is probably you could expect, if the Canadian model was to come true, you could probably expect at least 3 to 6 inches of snow. But a lot of times we'll see models for regions that don't typically see snow call for like 12 inches, and it just doesn't come into fruition like that. But we do see a bit less. But still, I mean, 3 to 6 inches of snow, maybe 6 to 10 would be a lot for these regions. Now, let's take a look at that GFS model, and like I said, it's the only model that's showing nothing for this storm right now. It's going to be very exciting if in one of these runs we just see it start showing this major snowstorm. That would be ultra exciting, and that's obviously a possibility. It's outnumbered at this point because as we move on, well, actually, here we're going to look at the radar on the GFS real quickly, and you can see it does have this storm. But it's just too far south. It does have the cold air in place, so we do see those 20s for North Carolina and Virginia because we can see this little bits of snow showers there for the southern North Carolina mountains and then even southeastern North Carolina on the very northern edge of that precipitation. The precipitation just overall isn't far enough north to bring any moderate snow for any regions here on this model. as we look at the European model, and I'm sorry this frame is so blurry, but I couldn't find it on the Pivotal Weather website or Weatherbell or any of those websites anymore for some reason, the 6Z European model run. So I had to find it on our Weather Freaks Facebook group. So if you want to see frames like this all the time, again, join us. I think I've said it about 5 times. It's probably annoying you guys a lot, so sorry about that. But I've said it a lot of times in this video. The European model is calling for a general 1 to 3 inches of snow here for northeastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia. So it's right in between. This is a lot more of a realistic outlook, obviously, but it does have the storm as well. So the GFS is completely outnumbered from these 2 different models because we see the Canadian model and the European model showing it, and then the GFS model has nothing. So we're going to see, typically we would see the Canadian model and the European model win out on that, but maybe the GFS is on to something. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends and family, and I'll see you guys in the next video.